What's up, guys? Alex Diamond here. New video, new reaction. So let's go. So in this video we're gonna watch Obligatory Nintendo Switch 2 unboxing. YouTuber Adam Koralik. Koralik. Okay, let's go.
Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions.
Hello.
The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Let's
Hey
go.
guys, it's Adam here, and today we're going to be unboxing the Nintendo Switch 2,
Yeah.
which, you know, it's a YouTube requirement. Mandatory unboxing video time! Anyway, if you guys could do me a favor, in the other mandatory section, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out all the social media stuff in the description: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, Travel Channel, etc. I appreciate the support on those platforms. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. Okay,
Let's go.
So, full disclosure, I'm going to be telling a story first. So if you don't care about any of that, you just want to see the unboxing of not only this, but the actual console, etc., skip ahead to this time code. Okay. All right. Before that, let's talk a little bit about how I got one. Not particularly complicated. So at the time I'm recording this, it is June 5th. It is the day of release in the United States and most of the world, apparently. And I was just curious how it was doing. I ordered mine through Best Buy, which I'll talk about in a second, but from just interacting with people on the internet, nobody, at least in the US, is having a hard time actually finding one. Affording one's a different discussion, but actually finding it doesn't seem to be much of a challenge.
How much it costs? I even did not know that Nintendo Switch is on the market.
In Japan, it's a little different because they use like a weird lottery system. And I can't speak for the rest of the world. I'm getting bits and pieces from other people. Australia, I was talking to people there. They weren't having a problem with it. The UK, not so much either. But it seems like people aren't having a problem, which people are saying, oh, it's because Nintendo did a really good job providing supply, etc. There's also a case for low demand. One, for economic reasons, and two, just maybe for a lot of the
one for people do not know that Nintendo Switch is already on the market. Like, I didn't even know about it. Seriously.
stuff that's in it that people aren't really digging. I don't really know. Well, only time will tell. We only have anecdotal evidence at this point. But I will say this. The only two Nintendo platforms in my memory that on day one of the system's release, you could just walk in the store and just inquire and say, do you have one? And they would go, yes, was the Wii U and the Virtual Boy. I mean, obviously the Switch you couldn't get for a long time. The Wii, famously, you couldn't get for a long time. The GameCube was not immediately available, but to be fair, it didn't take that long. But that was partially because the PS2 was just decimating everybody so bad it wasn't hard to get anything else. The N64, I remember being a pain to find when I was younger. Super Nintendo was kind of the same. NES, I have no memories of that because that came out before I was born. But like, from my understanding, that too was a pain because it was such a success story. So it's not necessarily proof of anything that it's been crazy easy to find one, but it's not a good look. But then again, we would be complaining if the opposite was true. If you're like, oh, yeah,
I
you've been
think
known for years.
the problem is the advertising. Like, seriously. I didn't know that the Nintendo Switch 2 is on the market. So many people just do not know about it. They'll find out and they'll buy it.
Years everybody wants a Switch 2 and you have none available. You can't. If I was Nintendo, I'd be like, I can't win. You can't win. And still, they make money, so they win. Okay, so in my case, here's what went down. I'm going to be completely honest with you, I didn't really want one. I looked at its policies. I looked at what it was offering. I looked at its stance on physical media, and I went, this kind of isn't really for me. It's not...
I do not understand why Nintendo just don't put on the Nintendo Switch GTA 5. Why not? I don't understand.
The absolute end of physical media, but it's pretty much the final ride. And it's at best technically physical. And to go over that, there's effectively like 3 game delivery methods on this thing. There's any sort of digital ecosystem, and I'm kind of lumping in things like Nintendo Switch Online in conjunction with things like eShop purchases, like anything that has never had any sort of physical iteration. That's one variant. And then you have 2 different types of physical. You have the game key cards, which are basically just digital files, and the case and the plastic, all that is just a placeholder for the data. It doesn't really contain anything other than blueprints blueprints telling the console to go download the file, which is unfortunately what most developers are choosing to use because they're much cheaper for manufacturing purposes. And then they have the one stock size 64 gigabyte card, the only physical size format that Nintendo chose to create for this thing. And for that, very few developers are choosing to use it because this is a whole side thing, but that's mostly because that would be more expensive. If you made a 1 gigabyte game and paying for 64 gigabytes of storage is not cheap, especially like that's famously why developers didn't want the N64 to use cartridges.
Why not change like 1 gig, 2 gigs, 8 gigs, 64 and 128? Like why they do not change the amount of memory? That would be more logic.
It just costs more to manufacture. And now, and for global reasons that have nothing to do with Nintendo specifically, chip manufacturing is much harder than it used to be, or is much more expensive, rather. So a lot of developers are opting out, meaning the Switch 2 is likely to have a very poor actual physical library. But that said, it still does technically have one. Unfortunately, Nintendo themselves, at least for the time being, is going to still use that actual hardware. So in effect, I only got this, A, to make a video for you guys, B, to be able to talk about it, somewhat knowledgeably, and C, just to experience those handful of games that Nintendo is going to create, and maybe a few other one-offs where somebody actually supports that, such as Cyberpunk is on there, so CD Projekt Red did right by us, but most developers are not. Even my beloved Sega went game keycard route, and that sucks, but it is what it is. Okay, so now, yes, I have the cardboard box in front of me. This comes from Best Buy. So the funny thing about this is, a few months ago, when these things went up for pre-order, I was actually in Germany at the time. I wasn't even in the U.S. And so it was like 7 a.m. for me. I was wide awake because I'm an early riser. And my whole Discord server is going off like, oh, man, like, the Switch 2 pre-orders are going up. But, like, everybody was going to sleep. So people were like, I'll deal with it in the morning. And I was just curious. I actually wasn't even that interested in getting one. My position on it had become, if one presents itself, maybe I'll get it. But I don't really care about doing it right away. Granted, it would have been nice to be able to talk to you guys about it, but like it wasn't strictly necessary. Sometimes the money matters a little bit more, especially when you're not that psyched about it. So all that ended up happening is I pull up the website, like I was sitting in my hotel, man. I had nothing better to do. I pull up the Best Buy link because somebody popped it in, and I was expecting a repeat of what happened with the PS5, where you go to their page, it's just stalls, nothing works, and if you can even get to the cart, it's sold out, or won't let you add to the cart. I was just expecting a plethora of issues. So I get to the main page, and it says add to cart, and I was like, okay, I click it. And surprisingly, it loaded. It went to like a digital like queue screen where you basically are just sitting there watching it. And it's like, you're in line, hang tight, And I was like, whatever, I don't really care about this. And I would have closed the page right there and then, but I was like, I have to use the bathroom. So I just left my phone on and I walked away. And I did a number 1. I was not in there very long, Then I came back and I went to go to my phone and I was actually about to close it. And I saw that it was still like looping or whatever. And I was like, I don't care about this. And just as I was about to close it, it accelerated to the next page. And it's like, okay, the item is in your cart. Do you wish to proceed to checkout? And I was like, really? So I just pressed the next button, just kind of curious if it was stalled. I kept like waiting for it to fail, basically. And then it ended up going all the way through and my transaction was completed. And I was like, huh. So like afterwards, I obviously could have canceled it if I really didn't want it. But at that point I was like, huh. I kind of accidentally got something that I think a lot of people want. And then I might want more later, FOMO, whatever it is. And so I was like, all right, I'll keep it. And it's sure enough, I got it. Everything is fine, and here it is on day 1. But ironically, if there's like a Target near me, like down the street, I checked. They had them in stock, just sitting there in the store shelves. Nobody's buying them. I could have just walked down the street and bought it, but you never know, obviously. Either way, I got it. And much like everybody else on YouTube, I'm going to do my unboxing.
Yeah.
So here we go. But at least mine comes with like a cardboard box. Ooh. And unlike, I don't know if you guys heard that story about GameStop in part of New York was stapling receipts to the boxes and then ruining the screens. Fortunately, I hope, Best Buy did not do any such thing. So here we go. We're going to cut through that. I will lift this up a little bit. That way we don't accidentally ruin the box underneath it.
Good idea.
Cut that. And there we go. There she is. The Nintendo Switch 2.
Nice.
now, there it is. I just have the console. I did actually buy a copy of Mario Kart World. However, they shipped it separately, and that, for whatever reason, has not arrived yet, even though this did. They were both shipped by FedEx. That showed up. The other one, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But, yeah, there we go. The box... All right, so here's the thing. They're very much trying to present this like the evolution of the Switch. Like, I've talked about the Xbox Series...
and I understand why they do that, because Nintendo Switch is very popular. Like, seriously. 150 million stuff, so it's like more good graphics and something like that, but it's the same like Nintendo Switch. So if you have a Nintendo Switch, I don't know, it has a point to change it or not. I don't know. If you have the money, why not?
X, and how it always felt like a physical firmware upgrade for the Xbox One. That seems to be what Nintendo is trying to present to us. They try to make everything seem very familial. It's very similar, blah, 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 blah. But from people I've been talking to, they're like, the ecosystem is identical. It just looks like the Switch again. But the transfer process is nowhere near as smooth. Now, since I haven't used it, I can't speak to that personally, but man, I've heard some horror stories already today, and it has not been fun. Now, I'm a little immune to this, or insulated more accurately, because there is nothing on my Switch 1 that I give a damn about bringing over to the Switch 2.
Yeah,
not even a
I
save.
understand.
Like, to me... Switch compatibility in this machine is exclusively a bonus feature and treated as such. It is not really anything else I care about. I don't have Nintendo Switch Online. I don't keep anything in the cloud. I don't have digital games. None of that stuff matters to me. So as a result, I'm just going to use it exclusively as a Switch 2 machine. It will be at best a casual experience, I'm sure, but all the same, we're going to go through it. Now, that ironically means I can't do anything with it today other than update it, but it is what it is. So regardless,
Yeah,
unboxing
play
time. But first, let's get our obligatory thumbnail profile. Yay, look, selfie. Yeah, see?
God.
Everybody has to do that. Wait, let's do a better one. Let's do, like, it's crazy YouTuber guy. There, how's that? Was that good? You guys like that? Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's be serious. Okay, unboxing time. So, box is nice enough. It's actually not that big, which is not really that shocking. Has your serial number at the bottom, bunch of information about it. These are actually produced in Vietnam. This is kind of an interesting fact and probably only relevant for a short time. Well, no, I take that back. This is probably going to be a sign of things to come. The U.S. and a lot of other countries are moving their manufacturing out of China and into countries, specifically 3, Vietnam, India, and Mexico. Vietnam really stepped up to the plate and said, we want to do the Switch stuff. And so, yeah, these are made in Vietnam now. Get used to it. A whole generation of us grew up with everything being made in China. That ain't going to be the case much longer. And
Samsung is made in Vietnam too.
it's like to our parents, made in Japan was the standard until China replaced them. This is normal. This is just business cycles. We're not going to go into. It's not the point of this video. But anyway, also I should mention, stay tuned, because after I'm done with this, as obviously I'm going to tinker with it, install everything. I'm going to try it as soon as I get that game. I'll give you guys my, shall we say, first impressions of actual usage. But enough stalling, if you will. Let's get to the unboxing. So. Okay, simple enough. There isn't even tape on these things, which is a little surprising. So there's like a flap here.
Yeah,
We
why
take
you
that
need
down,
that tape?
and then we lift it up, and it just kind of... Ta-da! Yeah, so here it is underneath. This is... The screen is just straight up. This is why the staple thing happened, because like GameStop was just stapling receipts right there, and it was like puncturing through the screens. Oops. Okay, but inside, I'm really shocked these are not taped. But inside you have the main piece. Like, that is the Switch 2. Nintendo warned everybody. They put like a layer of film on the screen and said, do not peel that off. You can put an additional plastic layer over it if you want to or whatever, but don't take that off.
Why?
I'm just passing the warning on to you.
Weird.
Obviously, USB-C port at the bottom. On the side, you have where the new Joy-Cons go.
Yeah,
they're
looks
obviously
good.
color-coded. At the top, you have your volume dial. You have your power switch. You have ventilation. You have another USB-C port, I assume for any sort of expansions or whatever. You have your headphone jack, and you have your game card place where you put your Switch cards, which folds up and back.
Nice.
And then you put the cards in there. And it's kind of a basic interface, honestly. Okay, and then you have blue Joy-Con right there, which we are just going to go ahead and clamp in. See, it's magnetic, and I'm going to have to tinker with that to... I think the release... Is there... Yeah, there has to be a release somewhere. I don't know what it is. I will
magnetic.
tinker with that later. I don't want to. I don't want to tinker with that right now. And then we have the pink Joy-Con or red Joy-Con. It's probably more red, more accurately. Slide that in, magnetized. Boom.
Looks good,
There you go. There's your Switch 2 on display. It of course has the new kickstand on the back, which comes out like this, and apparently has all sorts of. That actually, I like that. That's a huge improvement over. I'm used to the Model 1 Switch, the launch one with that little cheap stick stand.
Yeah, I had the
this one,
launch one.
kind of rotating any number of directions means you have much more
Not so
angling
good.
position depending on your scenario. I'll give them a bonus point. That's nice. Okay, underneath that, you have this white cardboard. Remove that. And in there's some additional stuff. We've got instruction manuals, which I don't need. We have an HDMI cable, and we have straps for the Joy-Cons. Okay.
Never
so we
used.
put all that to the side. Underneath all that, you have a USB-C to C cable.
Nice.
You have the USB-C power supply. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know this yet, so we'll see. But the problem with the original Switch, or one of them, was Nintendo used USB-C. So hypothetically, you could plug it into any power supply and charge it. But Nintendo used a very particular, I guess, voltage in those things. And they kind of just didn't make that super well known. So as a result, technically you can charge your Switch 1 on different USB power sources.
Yeah, I charge my USB light on my phone charge. No problem.
But it can also cause damage to the system.
No, it does not cause any damage. I don't know, maybe in the original Switch, maybe. But in Switch Lite, like, everything is normal. Like, I charge it and works.
Long term, so they highly recommend you just stick to the actual Nintendo power supply. I have no idea if that is the same situation here. If anybody knows, I'd love to hear it. But regardless, I'll just be using that one for that exact reason. We also have, this is the part of the new
Big charge is like for enhancement of graphics on TV. Like, if you charge it with a power bank or a phone charge, it doesn't matter.
dog face controller, as we always called it. So you would obviously put the Joy-Cons on there, and then you can make your little controller out of that. And then underneath that, and lastly, we have the new Nintendo Switch 2 dock, which is not bad. It's got two USB, I'm assuming 3.0 ports on the
Backside looks weird. Like, why? Better if it was more shaped, not so rounded.
side, some ventilation on the bottom. It has the HDMI port here, and I think is that it? Like, oh, this lifts up. Okay, all right. I was like, what the hell? Okay, yeah. Inside, it's got a USB-C port, the HDMI port, and a physical broadband Ethernet port,
Not
which
bad.
is nice because in
the
again,
old Switch there is no broadband, but I use Wi-Fi, so for me it doesn't matter. But I know many people buy the extra adapter to use the broadband.
and I'm used to the Model 1 Switch where it just had a USB port, and they were like, if you want to go with broadband, you're just going to have to use a USB to broadband adapter there. But yeah, that in a nutshell, everybody, is the Switch 2 unboxing, and I'm sure it's one of 1,000 of these that you've seen on the internet today, or in the last few days. And I hope you enjoyed this one for its
the
unique
first time I
flavor
saw it.
of passive aggressiveness. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, set it all up, and start tinkering with it, update it. I am told these things are a worthless brick out of the box, that absolutely, even if you have games, you're like, screw it, I don't care about updating, I'm just going to play right away. You can't. It needs an update to do anything. The future. Anywho, that'll do it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please stay tuned again for the upcoming first thoughts and all that stuff. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out all the social media stuff in the description: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, Travel Channel, etc. Thank you so much for watching for the 14th.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. Subscribe, comment, and see you in the next video.